Hello, everyone. Greetings from Hong Kong. Let me share my screen with you. The topic of my talk today is Hong Kong Smart City Blueprints. Hong Kong offers an interesting case on the subject of smart city and the pandemic. The city once upstaged the world in the wearing of facial masks. About a year before the coronavirus strike, Hong Kong people started wearing masks in a totally different context, for which the government issued a ban for the sake of public order and security. But in the quick turning around of events within a few months, the banning of masks became, ironically, a mandatory wearing of it in the public as the pandemic gradually engulfed the rest of the world. I still remember at our last gathering in Paris in February of 2020, when I'd escaped the pandemic struck Hong Kong to seek to buy surgical masks from the pharmacies around Hoxton, while my European hosts and colleagues were debating the usefulness of wearing it to prevent contraction of the disease. But within the short span of 2 months after my return to Hong Kong, the pandemic and panic spread to Europe, and the mask became the de facto public appearance of the time. Now, on the theme of the smart city, one of the targets of the protesters in 2019 Hong Kong was the smart lamppost. The pilot installation of 40 of them in the first designated smart district of the city, East Kowloon. The smart lamppost has been hailed as one of the icons of a smart city, combining many functions within the post, such as 5G Wi-Fi access, traffic, air quality, and weather monitoring, as well as data collection. The EU version of the smart lamppost offers even more additional functions, such as on-demand and facade lighting, digital signage, and push-to-talk system with pedestrians and citizens. In the promotion campaign, the EU even provides energy and economic figures to justify the benefits. For example, with 20 to 50% of the city's energy costs from streetlights, 75% of which is over 25 years old. Installation of smart lampposts with LED would save 50 to 75% of the energy bill, amounting to 1.9 billion euros annually. In Hong Kong, when the first pilot installation of 40 smart lampposts was launched shortly before the outbreak of the social unrest in 2019, the public was still apprehensive about the potential abuse of government power via technology, particularly in the collection of personal data such as facial recognition and crowd monitoring. The government was quick to respond by announcing that those functions in a smart lamppost that might infringe on privacy would not be activated, and re-emphasizing the benefits to the public in advancing Hong Kong as a smart city. However, when the social unrest began, one of the first acts by the young protesters was the destruction of the smart lamppost as a sign of denouncing government power and threats to civic trust. And many of the smart posts became victims of violence in the aftermath of destruction and conflicts. I'm sorry to say that this example of the smart lamppost does not seem to be a very promising start for Hong Kong to proclaim herself as a smart city, which is what I would like to explain next in the two blueprints unveiled by the government since 2017. The government published the Smart City Blueprint for Hong Kong in December 2017, setting out 76 initiatives under 6 smart areas, namely smart mobility, smart living, smart environment, smart people, smart government, and smart economy. Among them, the digital infrastructure projects and other major initiatives have been implemented as planned in the past 3 years. For example, the faster payment system or the electronic payment system, installing free public Wi-Fi hotspots, and the IM Smart, a one-stop personalized digital services platform. Blueprint 2.0 was rolled out in December 2020, which put forth over 130 initiatives that continue to enhance and expand city management measures and services. The new initiatives aim to bring benefits and convenience to the public so that residents can better perceive the benefits from smart city and innovation and technology in their daily lives. Example, application of building information modeling, or the BIM, enhancement of smart tourism platforms, establishments of the Law Tech Fund, development of the traffic data analytics system, and smart village pilots, etc. Now let us look at the 6 smart areas and see what the Hong Kong government has done to promote them. I am following the order as the government has it in their report and promotional materials. First, smart mobility. The current status of smart mobility in Hong Kong by 2019 are the following. Over 12 million passenger journeys on public transport every day, with railway being the backbone. Roads are dense with 373 licensed vehicles for every kilometer of road on average. And over 95% of Hong Kong people are using Octopus cards to travel, shop, and dine without the hassle of cash. And in terms of initiatives on intelligent transport system and traffic management, there are apps for walking paths, traffic detectors, electronic road pricing, real-time adaptive traffic signals, use of AVs or autonomous vehicles, and the geofencing technology on franchise buses, and the V2X, so-called vehicle to everything technology. Three areas that will develop the initiatives and applications will be, first, the PTIs. In other words, the public transport interchanges for bus stops and parking, such as real-time transport information, including parking vacancies and automated parking systems. Second, environmental friendliness in transport, such as encouraging cycling and walking, barrier-free universal accessibility, reducing roadside pollution, and electric light buses. And then lastly, smart airport, which includes use of biometrics for check-ins, boarding, and border crossing checkpoints, automation in passengers and baggage drop-offs and pickups, and most interestingly, developing a digital twin of a virtual airport for various services and operational management. The second area is on smart living, and some current status data include there are 40,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots in the city, and household broadband penetration rate is 93.7%, with smartphone penetration rate over 10 years old, almost at 90%. The faster payment system registrants are over 7 million, which is close to the full population figures of 7.6 million. And the aging population over 65 is at current 1.3 million, and which is about 18.5% of the total. But that will double to 2.5 million, which is 32% of the total population in 20 years' time. So what are the initiatives? There are 6 of them. First, a Wi-Fi connected city. Second, develop a digital payment system. 3, electronic IDs and IAM smart applications. 4th, to support elderlies and persons with disabilities, and to develop a so-called Geron technology platform. 5, support the healthcare with electronic health records, telehealth, and remote consultation. It's developing genomic medicine and use of blockchain on traceability of pharmaceutical products. And then lastly, 6 is for recreation, sports, leisure, and culture with intelligent booking system, the smart library, and also hikers location tracking. Next is on smart environment. And the current status data include reduction of government electricity consumption of 5% in the 3-year cycle. Carbon reduction by 36% compared to the year 2005, and 66% carbon emission from electricity generation, and 90% of electricity consumption by building. And the initiatives include 4 of them. 1, a climate action plan by 2030. And the aim is for Hong Kong to be carbon neutral by the year 2050. Second, green and intelligent buildings and energy efficient to promote LED lighting, green building design, electric vehicles and charging installations in private buildings, and sludge pre-treatment technology to turn waste into energy. 3 is on waste management, which is about waste recycling. And finally, 4th is on pollution monitoring, which include phytoplankton taxa monitoring in the ocean for red tide forecasts. And then, okay, there's a 5th point on environmental hygiene with smart public toilets, which means they are using the Internet of Things management and self-cleansing of handles and bars and etc. And also pest control using the IoT technology. The fourth area is on smart people, by which it means with the current status data, such as we have in Hong Kong 12 years primary and secondary school education, and there are 87,000 students studying publicly funded undergraduate programs, 35% of which are STEM-related subjects. And there are 11,000 postgraduate students, with 48% of them studying STEM-related subjects. Initiatives for smart people, there are two. First is to nurture young talents with implementation of the IT Innovation Lab programs in the schools and the young internship programs in the Greater Bay Area, which is bordering, the province of Guangdong and Shenzhen. The second initiative is on innovation and entrepreneurial culture, to expand the incubation programs to attract venture capitals for IT startups, and also to train the civil servants to keep them abreast of the latest IT technology. So the last point about training and IT capacities of civil servants brings out the fifth area on smart government. And there are 4,300 data sets in public information portals in Hong Kong and 1,400 APIs, which stand for Application Programming Interfaces. 850 government e-services, and with an annual government expenditure for ITC over 10 billion Hong Kong dollars. Three initiatives for smart government. First is open data for both public and the private sectors. Second is the smart city infrastructure to launch 5G, actually was launched in 2020, and using big and real-time data sharing among the departments, public cloud services, IM Smart, the smart lamppost, government-wide Internet of Things network, and also the low-power wide area network. The third initiative is on adoption of technology, using the BIM, as mentioned before, the Building Information Modeling, for all government construction and management. Smart customs, automation and robotics for water, sewerage, and underground drainage monitoring and management. And then the CSDI, which I would say something more later on. This is called the Common Spatial Data Infrastructure, and IT for various services. The last area is on smart economy, and there are now almost 16 million accounts of internet banking, with almost 12 trillion Hong Kong dollar transaction per month. Each Hong Kong citizen has 2.6 credit cards with 2.3 million daily transactions of 2.1 billion Hong Kong dollars. And bearing in mind the Hong Kong GDP is close to 3,000 billion Hong Kong dollars. And the per capita GDP is 380,000 Hong Kong dollars. So the initiatives, again, 5 of them. The first one is on fintech, right? Naturally. Second one is on smart tourism. And third on law tech, which means actually is an online dispute resolution and deal-making service platform. Fourth is to promote R&D and reindustrialization with tax rebate on the R&D expenses. And the government is developing a data technology hub and an advanced manufacturing center to be completed soon. And there are also collaboration with Shenzhen. And then finally, the fifth initiative is on innovation and new economy. So they have what they call the technology vouchers program to promote, the use of technology by companies, and with, of course, streamlining of the regulations and so on. Now, in the 2.0 blueprint, there is a new chapter, actually, particular chapter, a very important one on the use of IT in combating the COVID-19. And this, of course, is still going on and still developing with the current status of the pandemic. So these are the measures that we have adopted in Hong Kong, which is home quarantine system, an app called the Stay Home Safe for people doing quarantine arriving in Hong Kong. Secondly, we develop health codes to facilitate the orderly resumption of travel between Hong Kong and other places. To encourage wide application of the antimicrobial technology in public transport, and to deploy the exposure notification system and the mobile app called Leave Home Safe for different trades and premises, and to adopt technologies in public markets to enhance our environmental hygiene. Now, this actually is the Leave Home Safe app, which is now so common and prevalent. When you go out to eat, when you go to shop, when you go into an office building, when you go into any public domain, they have this code put up at the entrance, and everyone is required to scan it with the mobile phone, so that the app will keep track of your station in this particular location. And if there's anything happening in that location with the disease, then they will inform everyone with the one that have registered their presence, right, to inform them of the situation. And in some cases, would require them to do, the mandatory testing of the virus. And needless to say, when they started promoting this app, there were a lot of people actually resisting it, because they fear that the app would track everyone's locations and itinerary, right? And then later on, they clarify that the app in fact will not have this record, and the record would only be kept in the phone by the user themselves, and the app would only be able to inform you should there be a situation. So now I think it's gradually more accepted by people to use it. And then the other measures are like contactless payment, right? And the use of robots for airport terminal patrol, for baggage handling and clearing and disinfection, environmental monitoring. And there are also new streamlined e-forms to digitized health declaration process. And the hospital authority also developed the HA Go app to provide a remote consultation using video conferencing technology and to prescribe clinical information for specific groups of patients, in addition to online booking of clinic appointments and payment. And then finally, the Law Tech Fund of $40 million to support legal sector to adopt the technologies. And the CSDI and also, the lab, which I would have more to say. And then IM Smart applications for digital payment and remote onboarding in the financial and other industries. And also the COVID-19 online dispute resolution scheme to provide businesses and the public with speedy and cost-effective online dispute resolution services. Now, there's also, finally, this interesting pilot scheme for the Smart Village, which is about providing, facilities in the remote area, in the countryside, in particular for the elderlies. Providing the public Wi-Fi service, enhancing the telecommunication coverage, and detecting illegal dumping, wild animals and flooding, and also security strengthening, right? So they also explore the use of smart traffic system for some roads to improve the road situation and to use robotics and artificial intelligence to assist in early detection of the hill fire in the country parks. So I think this smart village is important because the area that they cover is huge, right? Apart from the urban concentrated areas. Now, and the latest update, in fact, which I would like to mention is a month ago, on May 10th, the Development Bureau established, this GeoLab to promote, what we call the CSDI, Common Spatial Data Infrastructure Initiative. And that will be very important in the development of smart city development. And to use, and to develop the lab for the use of the facilities and the data. So there will be information and training courses, how to use data and how to use the lab, and the application of the GIS software, and also the sharing of the knowledge of the geospatial data. And they develop a portal, right, explaining why it is important and what is it, what is the structure, how is it developed, and what are the standards. So I think this would be an important development for using this common spatial data in promoting research in related disciplines in terms of, in particular, culture and creativity. And this actually is the end of my presentation. And I hope it is clear about Hong Kong's take on the smart city and creativity in this particular moment of the pandemic. And I wish the conference and everyone well. Thank you.